Hey guys, and welcome to this next lesson. In this lesson, we're going to be structuring the infographic. So, I mean that we're going to be opening a file in Illustrator where we're going to be working the whole project we're doing. Okay, so we have Photoshop open because I was working before with the composition and the rest of the things that I was working on before. But what I'm thinking is about going straight on to Illustrator, working on the previous compositions I had before to save some steps, exporting, having to choose the brush. Because basically what we're going to do is a kind of a very basic summary, where we're going to put in the headline, the heading, where the information goes, where the characters go. So it's a quick image without a lot of explanation. What we're going to do is expand the composition we have placed on the top left corner. So later we can go on to work on it in a bit more depth with Illustrator. That's why I'm working quite quickly on this. There we'd have the Earth. Here we'd have, the information on the activists. Would have to place the moon, but I'm still not really sure where I'm going to put it so that it doesn't clash with anything. Here I would expand more the topics of information and the facts on the environment. Here I could put in some kind of statistic or something like that. And, I think in the lower right margin is where we would have to place the information, because it's really important to include the sources of where we got it from. Normally, when we make an infographic, we get information from other places, and that information isn't yours. It's on a website, and somebody who has the rights has put them on there. And we need to know where we get the information from. You have to make sure you're transmitting really true information. I cannot stress that enough. No fake news. Okay, so now, like I was saying, I'm going to save a JPG. That's going to be the base I'm going to use to work on Illustrator. All right, we're going to save it. And when we get into the other program, what we're going to do is create our file. As I'm going to continue with the horizontal version, we don't have to do much more. I think I'm going to choose some kind of format that's preset, like the A3 one, for example, in case at any moment I have to get it out, and to raise the size, basically. Although in Illustrator, we wouldn't really need to, because as they're vectors, the resolution doesn't really affect anything. When we increase or we decrease the size, we don't lose any quality. But oh well, choose A3, let's put it in the horizontal format. I'm going to put it in RGB because in this case, I'm not planning on printing it. Let's hit create. All right, so here we would have our canvas, our artboard. What I'm going to do now is place the image that we made before in Photoshop or JPG, and I'm going to place it in a way so that we have it as like a base. You can prepare your artboard however you want to. I don't really care about that. All right, let's go to File, Place. Go to the file or place where we saved that image. And hit place. I'm going to encrust it as well, in case something happens to the image. I really don't want to lose this, okay? And I'm going to adjust it to the board so that it stays in real size. Okay, and there we'd have what we're looking for. So I'm going to lower the opacity so that I can work on top of it without bothering us so much. So with the brush tool, we're going to hit B, the shortcut. I'm going to go over it all a little bit until it's all a little clearer, on how we're going to place everything. Okay, so here we have the earth like we did it in Photoshop. I'm going to make it, a character. I'm going to personify it. I'm going to give it that touch of personification. I want to give it an expression, so it attracts, it looks more striking to the people who are looking at it. Well, as we're talking about the environment in the case of facts and information, I'm going to avoid maybe giving it that happy face because, the world's kind of dying and the idea is to communicate that. Memento mori. We're all going to die. God damn it, America. Not super into that one. I just can't get it. Maybe I'll continue with the rest and later I'll adjust those details. Here's where the titles for our characters are going to go. Here I want to put in some statistics. Here I would put in the reference information. Here I put in some information on the topic of the environment, like the data with a heading and stuff. Here we'd have the heading, the most important bit. Here I'm going to put in the information on each activist, on the right. To complete it a little so that we know who they are. It's important that we can identify them. Not just their face and their name. We want to have some knowledge on them so that we're not working unknowing on who they are. This is about explaining at the end of the day. We want to, educate. Okay. Now we're going to include the faces. I'm going to do the same I did before again. I'm going to put them in JPG, and then I'm going to use them as a base to then vectorize them. Okay, so let's crop the image and export it. In JPG, because we don't really need to worry about the quality of the image because it's not the final image. We just want to use it as a base, so, hit save and it's good. Okay, so we're going to place this image here at the side, and I don't think we need to do the same tracing we did with the other one. We're going to place it to one side, and then we'll place the characters better once they're complete in the artboard. We'll do the same thing we did with the other one. We'll encrust it. That way, if we move the file or something, we won't lose it. I don't really know why I put it in multiply mode because we're going to work outside of it. So we're going to put it back in normal mode and we can forget about these complications. So the only thing we'd have left to do now is to lower the opacity to the rest of the things. place some details, and, just go along completing as we go along. I'm going to say the moon is going to be here. I don't know what expression to give the Earth, but I'm going to change it for sure. So now, we would just have to complete it with the information and the colors. I just remembered that we would also have to put in the colors. So we'll do that soon, I guess. If your infographic isn't entirely finished and you're not sure what you want to do yet, maybe try to go over the other ones. The other lessons. And decide, for example, like a complete kind of infographic. Maybe hierarchical, informative, comparative. And from there, search for more images on the internet. I recommend using this one because it's so supported by the graphics. They take more relevance than the information, so you don't need to overcomplicate the composition. But hey, that's all a personal choice. Do what you want to do, man. I don't care. I do care. I didn't say that. As I was saying, I'm probably going to change this guy's expression. I like it a lot more when the Earth looks kind of afflicted, like it is now. And it's funny to make the moon kind of like give it a little kiss. A little kiss to make it feel a bit better. And this will be everything. In the next lesson, we're going to summarize it with the color palette and placing them in the infographic. So, see you there. Memento mori.